call this meeting to
Look at
order.
the board, he's going to do the audience.
Let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I'd like to introduce the Township's General Counsel, Mr. Rob Huth. He's going to review the annual meeting procedure. Mr. Huth?
Thank you, Mike. Check, check, check. Can you hear me? Man, my voice is too high and squeaky for this. My name is Rob Huth. First of all, you're right. The only one that did not have enough sense to dress appropriately here tonight. I give you credit, not for me, for wearing all these heavy clothes. I am a resident, not a full-time resident. Our family has a cottage here in Tuscarora Township. I'll be here next week with my family. I won't be dressed like this. Those of you that don't want to stone me after the meeting tonight, we can wave and talk to each other. I'm here tonight to help you have an orderly meeting. My background is our firm represents 32 communities around the state. And when the Treasury Department for the state of Michigan appointed emergency financial managers in communities like Flint, Detroit, Inkster, the Treasury Department asked me to train those gentlemen as to how to have an orderly meeting in circumstances when the residents likely were not real happy with what's going on. So the things I've learned, I will put into use tonight to help you have this meeting. What is this meeting about? It's your general annual meeting that very few communities have anymore. It's not required by a community of this size to have it, but this township is going forward with it. Who can participate? Not registered voters, but people that are qualified to vote, an elector. So somebody that has an apartment in town and lives in town, but has never registered to vote, but is here full-time, could vote at this meeting. Someone like myself that owns property in town, but this is not a full-time registered place to vote, I could not participate as an elector. Well, who's going to help us get through this meeting? The statute, and it's unlike many of the other things we do in the law where lawyers give opinions. With respect to this annual meeting, the statute was written in the mid to late 1800s, and it's evolved. It's likely evolved because these types of meetings were raucous over the years. So there's very defined rules as to how it goes forward. And it's clear. Mike Ridley will be the moderator for the meeting. So your questions will go to him. He'll determine the appropriate way to answer those questions. What is he going to moderate? What are we here to talk about? Well, the statute again tells you what you're here to talk about. In communities that I live in, for example, I live in the township of Shelby. I'm a township attorney there. The people there don't have an opportunity to vote on a resolution regarding the elected officials' salaries. This situation in your community with these officials setting this meeting and with this meeting being held tonight, it's different. You have an opportunity to vote on the resolution regarding their salaries. How many resolutions are there? There's 5 elected officials. There's 4 different spots, right? Trustee, clerk, supervisor, treasurer. But there's 5 resolutions. 4 of them I'm sure make sense to you, the 4 positions that I just mentioned. And the 5th one is, and the statute looks at this, what happens if the supervisor is wearing 2 hats? A hat of supervisor and assessor. So tonight, the 5th resolution will discuss supervisor and assessor. What could happen is you could vote pass these resolutions at some certain amount, and they go into effective in November when you have a new board. Why don't they go into effect now? Well, because by law, the current elected officials cannot have their compensation reduced unless their duties are reduced and they consent to the reduction. So for practical purposes, it can't happen. So now the resolution has to do with what's going to go on in November after you folks that are qualified to vote in an election here in the township. August primary, November general. If the person that ends up being the elected supervisor is not also qualified to be the assessor, then the resolution regarding supervisor affects his salary. As it is now, the resolution, if the current supervisor were to win, affecting supervisor assessor would set his salary. So we have 5 resolutions spelled out by law as to what you're allowed to participate in, and those affect the salary beginning in November. Lastly, let's have an orderly meeting. And what's interesting about this is, if this was a township meeting that I mentioned where I live in Shelby Township, I would be guessing somewhat as to what is permitted at the meetings. But since this type of meeting has 150 years of precedent, the rules are very clear. It says in the statute, you can't talk over somebody who's up here. It also says in the statute that if you interrupt the meeting, you will be asked to leave and you'll be guilty of a misdemeanor. It doesn't serve anybody's purposes to have a meeting like that. So the best way to do this is respect the moderator, make sure everyone has a chance to speak when it's their turn, and granted, you're going to disagree with some things that are said up there, and when it's your turn, you will have an opportunity to say that. I see council's here. I've made myself available to talk to him at any time during the meeting. If he has a statute or something he wants me to review, I will call a timeout. We will make sure we get it right. I'm not afraid to do that. Let me take 5 minutes. Let's look at it. We're going to get this right tonight. Let's have an orderly meeting and conduct the township business. Thank you very much.
You have, some of you had copies of the 2015 annual meeting minutes. Is there a motion to amend it?
Motion to amend. There are 2 errors that I know of off the bat. The first one is on the motion for the supervisor's salary. It was not mainly motioned by Mike Shervany, which is recorded. It was seconded by Mike Shervany. You did not verbally identify the man who made the motion ever in the meeting. The second language I would like to amend is to have struck out. Let me grab the got a lot of paper. Okay, just a second. Well, I'm going to have to wing it because I lost it. Thanks. I would like you to strike out Kathy Swanson.
It's a mute there. There you go.
Better. It says Kathy Swanson offered an alternate salary resolution that reduces the salary of supervisor assessor. I would like that amended to read by deletion. Kathy Swanson offered an alternative salary resolution. No action was taken on the resolution. It did not attempt to reduce the amount of the supervisor's salary. It attempted to increase it.
I'm sorry, but that is definitely incorrect. What it would have done, if we had gone through, it would have reduced.
I did not ask to debate you, Sue. I made a motion to amend.
I was
That should
allowed
be
to.
seconded and processed.
Sue, your comments?
Okay, thank you. What Mrs. Swanson offered at the meeting was a revised salary that would partly go towards, it just would have reduced the salary of the supervisor assessor. And that cannot be done during the term.
The only elector-approved salary for the supervisor at that time was $20-some thousand lower.
You don't get to vote on whether the supervisor is a supervisor assessor.
I was not voting on that.
No, you
I
were
was
voting on-
voting
Okay, that's
on-
enough. Hold it.
I
Stop.
would just like to amend the meetings to take that out because it's inaccurate.
Rob?
Okay, well, all right, let's do this. There's a motion by resident, I assume elector. Is there support for it?
I support it.
Okay, so there's been a motion and support. There's been comment on it. Does the clerk have any further comment on it?
No.
Then, Mr. Moderator, it may be appropriate to vote on the two amendments to the minutes that have been proposed by this motion.
Okay, the first motion was, that Mike Shervany made the motion and Dave Campbell was second, and we don't have that name on record, but we do.
That's what my notes and what my
Okay.
recording said.
And the second motion was to strike, sorry Kathy, strike,
I want it stricken that reduces the salary of the supervisor assessor. I want those words stricken.
want those words stricken. Okay, that is the motion. Kathy made the motion, Art seconded. All in favor?
Excuse me, point of order.
Point of order? Yes, sir.
We have a motion on the floor, it's seconded, now it's time to debate.
Oh,
Well, sir, we're not following.
okay, we're not debating, Steve. We're going to have a discussion.
Well,
Okay, I see what you're saying.
either way, there's
Yes.
now a motion on the floor.
Okay, is there
It's
more?
been seconded,
Okay, thank you,
And
thank
we
you.
had a discussion prior to the motion.
Okay. Is there any more comments about the motion? Yes, sir?
Yeah, Carl Muscat, I'd like to offer a point of discussion here during the motion. If you're gonna ask these electors to vote on an issue that they did not attend the meeting last year, that is incorrect. They cannot make a decision on that, so it should only be put to the electors that were at last year's.
No.
How can you else amend the accuracy of the minutes?
We're going to move forward. We're going to have, any more comments? Comments? There's been a motion, yes, sir?
I'm quite sure that I'm not the only one here who's not fully understanding this. Okay? It says there was a motion made by Mike Shervany, seconded by Dave Campbell to approve proposed salary resolutions. And I understand that the complaint is that there wasn't a motion made, identified by an individual, or a second identified by an individual. Is that clear?
The second,
Just a moment, please. Mr. Campbell?
I seconded the motion.
You seconded the motion.
I was there.
I made the
Yeah.
You made the motion.
Yeah. So, I don't know where the problem is.
I have
So,
the
where's
audio
problem?
tape that says otherwise.
We have record that Mr. Shervany made the motion and Mr. Campbell, I think that's a moot point. It's a non-motion because it's not accurate. We're trying to introduce something that didn't happen.
What are you saying? What Kathy is.
What's Kathy saying, if we have record that Mr. Shervany made the motion and Mr. Campbell seconded it, then that stands as the motion that we're trying to alter history. That's not how it happened.
Again, point of order. The argument offered is false.
Okay, thank you, Rick. Okay, there's only one motion, and that is Kathy's motion to have stricken from the minutes, the line that said, you got the minutes now. Do I have it back?
Point of order.
Wait a minute. We're not gonna lose control here. I'm sorry.
I have a question for the lawyer.
No, just a minute, Lord. Mr.
Lawyer?
Mr. Lord?
There's two items with the motion. One is to address the issue of who made it and who supported it. The second point by Ms. Swanson, if I was asked to help resolve it, I would say that maybe strike what I would view as an editorial comment that it reduces the salary of supervisor assessor. If you wanted to do it that way, it clears up whether or not there's any one way or the other what her motion read, and then that way the minutes would be Kathy Swanson offered an alternative salary resolution. No action was taken on the resolution. Period.
That is the motion.
But that's not the motion yet.
No, yeah,
The
okay.
previous motion is the motion, but I'm just saying, if that motion fails, maybe we can consider another one.
Let's take a vote on it. We're not voting on the Campbell-Shervany issue.
Actually, we are.
We are?
The first vote by everyone will be 2 points. Whether we delete Campbell-Shervany and whether we delete 2 sentences by Kathy Swanson. If that passes, the minutes will change. If it doesn't pass, we got to figure out what is appropriate for the minutes and vote on that. So first, let's call it the Swanson motion is the first one to vote on. Okay?
And if I may, the motion was not to address the Dave Campbell name because I don't know who made the motion. He was not identified. The audio file clearly identifies Mike Ridley saying Mike Shervany seconded.
So then I understand that part of it you're withdrawing, so to speak, because I think the seconder assumed that you were making a motion regarding the Shervany-Campbell issue, which you're not.
Correct, I was not.
Okay, so let's take that. Who is the seconder?
Mike Shervany.
No,
Oh,
I mean-
second.
No,
Oh, I did.
Oh, Mr. Doty, do you
Art
agree
Doty.
then? Did you agree to the amendment that Ms. Swanson just mentioned? We're only now talking about 1 point on the minutes.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Let me ask, can I ask one more question?
Absolutely.
Just a second. Would you be satisfied if the minutes read instead, Kathy Swanson offered an alternative salary resolution, period. No action was taken on the resolution?
I would be satisfied.
Okay. Would you amend your motion to say that?
I would. I thought I did, but I rambled, so
Okay.
what you
All right.
said is very good.
Okay. Mr. Doty, do you
I would
support
second,
it?
yes.
Okay, I think that's on point.
We'll take a voice vote now. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Nay. Okay, the ayes have it. We're going to open up for citizens' comment. You may take that. Ask to be identified, and I will, I'm assuming Kathy would like citizen comment.
Mr. Moderator, I have... Oh, give me the thing. Mr. Moderator, I have an issue with some of the information that Mr. Huth presented. There are not 5 salary resolutions before the electors, there are 4. The supervisor's salary resolution has 2 parts, but it is one resolution and it is presented as one resolution. So that's the first bit of inaccuracy I would appreciate having confirmed for the audience. I suggested to the board at the beginning of the week that this meeting be run by Robert's Rules of Order. It's very important that for each of the salary resolutions, the electors get their chance to talk specifically to that resolution, not to lump them together as you seem to be trying to do with this agenda. I would move that the electors get to set the agenda. I don't think that it is your job. The law, the statutes clearly say that. This meeting is to be conducted as a public meeting, an open public meeting. It says it is a meeting of the electors, and it is says that the salary resolutions are to be brought to the electors at this time. As far as I can see, Mr. Huth, it doesn't say anything else about the format. Whether the township board chooses to use a modified or a full version of Robert's Rules to conduct their meetings has no bearing on what we're doing tonight. You need to provide fair, equal access to people to comment on these salary resolutions in a very structured manner. And I would urge you to use Robert's.
We are going to have 4 resolutions, and we are going to read them one at a time.
I'm wrong. Yes, good point. I agree. I thought they were split, but you're right. Just double check. It's combined. So with that point, I agree with you. I do not agree that Robert's rules apply. I do not agree that the meeting is open to discuss anything that the audience chooses to discuss. It is mandated by statute what is allowed And I raised that point with your council before meeting, and I still stand by that, ma'am.
Citizens' comments. Mr. Hart, you can take the mic, or you can come down to the microphone.
Got one right here. How is this? Can you all hear me? Okay, the way I get it, this is all about your budget and your salary increases and all that stuff. Now, you all want salary increases, but according to my notes here, the things that are coming up for 2016-17 with the proposed budget deficit of $117,000 and the breakdown of where all this money's going, it has me a little upset. I can't understand why you'd even ask for an increase when you're running a deficit. And then the sewer question, I mean, that goes, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I didn't realize I was dropping
You're
it.
dropping.
I'm getting old and I'm losing my strength. The way I see it, we've already spent millions and millions of dollars on this sewer deal. And the future projections are to spend millions and millions more. As a matter of fact, you want to put, what, 50,000 in it next year to the, what the heck is it, some fund they have? And what else? Oh, Parks and Recreation, the money you want to throw into that. They've changed the name, I guess you changed the name of that. But I mean, equipment alone is an $11,500 increase. Supplies, $18,500. That's quite an increase. I mean, come on, I don't want my taxes to go up that much. You know, what you do every year is bad enough, as far as I'm concerned. And all the other things, the problem with the back-end parking. Now, who's gonna be responsible for paying that? To rip all that out and make it into parallel again? I don't know, it's just wasteful spending as far as I'm concerned. I realize your costs are going up just like mine every year. But if you're gonna perform, let's have good performance. Thank you.
That's enough, no, please refrain from that on both sides of this argument. Let's keep that moving. We don't need that.
Okay.
Please, public comment? Yes, sir.
My name is Clifford Jones. I am a resident of the township. My roots go back to my great-grandparents back in the 1870s. I've moved here 10 years ago. My parents moved back here 24 years ago. My mother was born here. My dad lived in the White House that was torn down to build Town Hall. So my roots, I got a whole lot of relatives up at Oak Hill. My concern, I've observed the political structure of this township for the last 10 years. I've been silent for 10 years, but I cannot remain silent anymore. I believe in a principle of recompense for reward. And a pay raise is a reward, and it ought to be only for a job well done. If a job is not well done, if it's not done, or if it's incompetent in its accomplishment, there ought not be a reward. If I look at Mr. Ridley with yours, what has been reported, and I can only go by what's been reported, okay, is on the aspect of assessor. I know it was reported that the county wrote you a letter, 17, 18 months ago, and said you're not up to par for the arbitrarily 20% of assessments that should be done each year, so that in a period of 5 years, we have 100% evaluation. I moved here from Connecticut, which has a 10-year assessment. The day I was packing my trailer, the tax man knocked on my door. I've never seen you on my property, my dad's property, anything of that nature. Your words was that I'm going to comply, and then later you said because of personal conflict of whatever reason, that you've been running about 10 or 12% of that 20% annual. That's 50 to 60% of what you're supposed to do, and I understand there's other assessors working for you that I imagine the town's paying for. I didn't read anything about you refunding that 40 or 50% of what you didn't do back to the township for job not done. That's recompense for reward. We want to reward, I won't say incompetency, but it certainly is not the fulfillment of your responsibilities as assessor, okay? If I go into the aspect that was just brought up about the sewage system, what is it, 3 times that there were points raised that if the bids come back that it's above this level, we won't do it. Well, we change this, we change this, and we change this, and either way, when the township says we don't want it, we don't need it, and there's no federal mandate, we still got it. Sounds like Washington, it sounds like Lansing. And then I've been told that there was a federal employee that wrote you an email that says, hey, if you take these things out of the line item, it'll make it more palatable when the bids go through, and then you can just reinsert them and the cost goes up. True or not, I don't know, Mr. Ridley, I hope not. But when it comes into play, the town folk, you as the town manager, disregard what the town wants. Come into the back-end parking lot. Hey, okay, you think it's necessary. Good, you're progressive, you're a visionary, you have all these aspirations. That's good.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Tie it up there.
All right, I'll tie it up. But the citizenry was disregarded. They said, hey, do a safety evaluation. Well, we'll do it afterwards. The county comes back and says, sorry, put it back. How much is this going to cost? And then even the aspect of I have a tax on my summer and winter tax. I have an additional tax that's for the collection and disbursement of my fees. I asked Sue when I paid my winter taxes, what is this little amount for? She said, that's for disbursement, but the treasurer, we pay the treasurer to do her job, which she gets a salary for anyway. So it's a tax upon a tax. So I look at it and say, let me see, the assessor is not doing his job. The citizenry is not being adhered, or at least even listening to it, appears that way. Why should I be inclined to vote for a pay raise? Recompense for reward.
Everybody hear me okay? Closer?
It's not working.
Okay. Thank you. Everybody here okay? I wish I could be as eloquent as Mr. Jones is here. I'm Carl Muscott. I am running for Tuscarora Township Supervisor. I respect that all public jobs can be difficult, so I will give Mr. Ridley that. The issue of salaries, and I'm not sure why the issue of salary raises comes up every year within this township. Most public officials would at least not ask for a raise on an election year. They might give us a little respite from that. I do want to address, three members of the public attended a budget workshop last week. The Tuscarora board refused to supply copies of the proposed budget, which I don't think was very democratic. Anyways, looking at the assessor's department, and I explained this to people as I'm out talking to the public, it is not only the approximately $30,000 per year that we're paying Mr. Ridley as an assessor, and Mr. Jones eloquently stated how negligent he has been in those assessing duties. We are probably now looking at a township reappraisal that may well cost more than $100,000 to have an outside firm come in. I have substantial proof that that is being looked at, and as Mr. Jones said, 15 months ago this issue was brought before the board. It has been swept under the rug. Now, the assessor's department has grown from 2013 to 2014, that was fiscal year, of $46,223. The proposed budget for this year is now $78,120. That's more than a $30,000 increase over 3 years' time to provide negligent assessing. I propose that we assess with an outside firm that's not biased, that's not politically biased, that's not swayed by whether they're going to have a vote. There is also an assessor assistant position on here, which this year shows was paid out $4,515. I would like to know who fills the assessor assistant position, who is paid for that, because next year it is budgeted for $15,000. Thank you. Thank you, Gordon.
To answer your question, Mr. Muscat, I paid for the assessing assistant. I have a canceled check that I gave to the township for $5,000 out of my salary and took the cut in my paycheck to have Bobby Belazovic, who is our treasurer and a certified assessor, to help with the data entry. This is a big job. We have a lot of parcels. We have a lot of parcels, and I'm not making an excuse. The job has to be done. I do have it. I'm sorry, Mr. Muscat, just a moment. I'm trying to figure out where you're getting your information that, when Mr. Jones was saying that. And we're not going to get into a debate, but that's not accurate. Which, this is the, Mr. Muscat, we're only going to do public comments once. Mr. Muscat?
Yeah, I'd just like to make a short rebuttal to that.
No, there's
When
no
you-
rebuttal. We're not debating. I'm trying to explain. You wanted to know where the money came from?
No,
Please hand
I wanted to know
Please
where
hand the
the money
microphone
went.
back to Chief Temple, please. You can, we'll have that. You can stick around for the next meeting. We'll discuss, you can make the next comment. Public comment.
Mr. Moderator, can I yield my 3 minutes to Mr.
No, you can't.
Where does it say in the rules that I can?
You cannot do
Where does
that.
it say I can't?
Well, then you've got a whole bunch of people that could give him 6 hours. I'm sorry, please be seated. Please be seated. Go ahead, Mr. Jacobs.
Hello, my name is Roger Jacobs. There is so much stuff been going on with this assessor's job.
You're fine.
Hello, there we go. There is so much stuff that I've been doing some research on for the last 4 years. You wouldn't believe the amount of stuff that, there's certain people, and some of them are in this room, that are getting homestead property taxes give to them for the last 8 years that don't even qualify. Some of them have got caught at it. The assessor has been letting this slack and go. There's private property, there is property in several families around this town that have been taxable valued anywhere from $15,000 to $60,000 in taxable value reduction. And I can prove all of what I'm saying. It's a matter of public record out of the treasurer's office in Sheboygan. I've got sheets that show all of this stuff. This stuff has been going on for the last 8 or 9 years that I know of. And I've got stacks of papers out of the treasurer's office in Sheboygan to prove everything that I have told you. I'm not kidding. This is something that's been going on. It's friends and whoever that have been doing this. Some of them people are in this room. I could tell you who they are, but I'm not going to tell you who it is right now. And there's no question about what's going on. It's not right. They lower your taxes, friends' taxes and things, and raise every other person in this room that isn't getting this lowered. It's being done, has been done for years. That's all I got to say.
Public comment? Big comment. Yes, ma'am?
My name is Carol Priestwood, and I'm reading the notes. It says that each person is allowed to speak for 3 minutes. It seems like these have been going a lot more than 3
I
minutes.
apologize.
And the second is that you may not give your 3 minutes to another speaker. So, for the question
Okay.
right there. Thank you.
Thank you. Public comment? Yes, there's over here, sir.
Hi, my name is Carl Shugart, and I do live here in Tuscarora Township. I've had property here.
We can't hear you.
Microphone work? Oh, it does.
A little closer.
Closer. Okay. Well, I'm Carl, and I live here in Tuscarora Township. I've been coming up here since I was born. Owned property up here since '87. Paid taxes up here both ways. As not living here as a resident, I'm happy to be back. And I came out to this meeting tonight basically to vote on giving them a raise or not. And from what I've read in the paper and everything else, it's like, let's have a vote and I can get back on home.
Public comment? Public comment?
That was under 3 minutes.
Yes, sir.
My name's Alan Gillespie, and
Could you grab a
Sure.
microphone, Mr. Tucker?
be glad to. Thank you. I'll just go over here. My name's Alan Gillespie, a resident of Tuscarora Township, and I've been coming up here for, 25 to 30 years now. And I know that there are different opinions on what the board's accomplished, but my opinion is that I've seen more accomplished in the last 8 years than I've seen in the last 30 years.
Please stop. President, we're gonna have this going on, this clapping, it's gonna take up time and it's gonna get louder. You can beat up on us, please do not beat up on each other. Public comment. Public comment. Yes, sir.
My name's Chuck Reed. I'm not a resident of Tuscarora. I own property in it, or business property in it. And I was born and raised in Indian River, went to Alaska in '82 and moved back and, well, I haven't actually moved back. But I'm, like the last gentleman, I've seen this town trying to tear it apart, itself apart about everything we do. I know nobody in this town seems to think so, but I think you folks are doing a heck of a job. You couldn't give me your jobs to put up with the bully that you do. And I think that, good example of the way I see things. Today I drove by a friend of mine that had a sign up for Mike's, and you couldn't see it for the Art Doty and the rest of the signs, and they're in competition. I mean, they couldn't put it off to the side so that everybody's sign could be seen. They were doing the best they could to block it off. You know, come on, people, we live in this township. We're all neighbors. We all have to put up with each other. Why can't we be at least civil when we're trying to talk and do things in this town? I can't vote here. I would like to be able to, but I'm not going to move out of Alaska. So let's at least try and be friendly and civil when we're doing this stuff. Thank you.
Yeah, please.
Thanks. Just a quick comment about the taxes and assessing and so forth. We own a business in town. We pay taxes. We're residents, we pay taxes. I know them personally, but Mike Ridley did come to our business and a few years ago said, "I'm really sorry to tell you, but I made an error in your assessment. I was wrong. You were undervalued. You owe thousands and thousands of dollars. Please pay." We did.
Public comment? Public comment?
Mike.
Yes, yes. Can you bring her, please, just have.
Yeah, the mic.
Bring her microphone. Oh,
I
can you get up?
My name is Sue Shervany. I live on Plymouth Beach Road. We worked with Mike Ridley tirelessly for over a year to see that our road could get repaved. It was turned to gravel by the county. We did nothing illegal, but we were, apparently, the board was charged with acting illegally and getting our special assessment district, but the Attorney General agreed with us. We have a beautiful road now. Anytime we have any problems, we call Mike or somebody on the board, and they're able to help us or explain to us why we can't be helped. These people have not had a raise in many years, and budget or no budget, I think they deserve a raise, period.
Public comment? Public comment. Fred?
I'm Fred Goddard. I live off,
Hold it up a little closer.
can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm Fred, and I live off Club Road. since they come through the sewer line, they've taken a lot of trees down there, and these heavy old trucks go up and down that road, and the township has done nothing about that road from Martha Street to 68. And we eat dust, you won't believe. They need to do something with dust control that has not been done. I sat there and have coffee on my porch. My wife can't keep the windows clean. Dust is all over everything. Yet, the township board is doing the road from Martha Street north and on east to the bridge, I guess. Thank you.
Just a point of fact, it is the county that's doing the primary road. Public comment? Public comment is closed. The elected office officials' salary resolution. I want to remind everybody, and you can be as honest and blunt you want with me, but remember, you're voting for the position. This is moving into the future. And I will read the entire thing. We're going to start with the supervisor, assessor. Can you all hear me okay? You cannot? Is that better? Yes. Okay. Whereas Michigan compiled law 41.95 authorizes the Township Board of Tuscarora Township to determine salaries for the offices of supervisor, clerk, treasurer, and trustee for fiscal year 2016-17 by adopting a resolution for each office at least 30 days prior to the annual meeting of the electors. And whereas the Township Board deems that an adjustment in the salary of the office of supervisor is warranted in consideration of the increase in the cost of living since Township Board members' salaries were last adjusted. Now, be it resolved, this is the first one, that as of July 1st, 2016, the salary of the office of supervisor shall be as follows. Supervisor, $23,719 salary if not directly performing assessing. $54,559 salary if properly certified as assessor and directly performing assessing. Be it also resolved that this resolution shall be submitted to the electors at the annual meeting to be held on June 29, 2016, at which time the electors may modify these amounts. Pursuant to MCL 41.95, subsection 7, such modifications that may be made by the electors cannot result in a reduction of salary during an official's term of office unless the responsibilities and requirement of that office are diminished and the official agrees in writing to that reduction. In the event that the electors fail to act on this resolution, the officer shall be entitled to the salary as established in this resolution in accordance with state law. Be it further resolved that this resolution adopted on May 10, 2016 is properly adopted by Tuscarora Township Board at least 30 days prior to the annual meeting as required by law. The resolution was offered by Board Member Blazovic, supported by Board Member McGinnis. Now, that is the salary resolution for supervisor, assessor. Is there a motion? Sally?
I so move that we accept
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Stephen Hatt seconds. Discussion.
I move to amend. I move to amend the motion.
Yeah.
Is there a second for the amendment?
Is not proper?
Amendment.
Then you need to tell me how my rights under the law are going to be upheld, that an elector may alter the amount of the
Point of
salary
order, did we hear a
resolution.
second to her amendment?
Yes, we did. It was your second. Stephen
My
Hatt.
second to the motion, she's making an amendment. That's an additional motion, it needs to be
It
seconded.
needs to be seconded.
Mr. Ridley, the proper format for this is there's a motion and a second. There should be discussion on it. If that motion fails, then you look for a second motion or another motion until a motion passes. They're not amending any motions. We're discussing the motion that's been properly placed here and seconded.
You are not allowing me to have my legal rights to amend the amount in the salary resolution that the board presented. You are obligated under law to do that. If you were using Robert's rules, the correct format would be main motion, second, state the question, discussion. At that time, an amendment can be made. A second occurs, discussion occurs. If it's voted down, then you move back to the main motion. That's not difficult, and that preserves my legal rights to try to amend the amount in the salary resolution that the board passed. If you do it the way Mr. Huth is suggesting, I do not have the option to try to alter the amount in that salary resolution, and you are impairing my rights as an elector.
Ms. Swanson, I spoke to your counsel before. Thank you very much. Thank you. Spoke to counsel beforehand. Hello, check, check. I spoke to your counsel beforehand, and he tried to explain this, and I think I did adequately. Maybe he hasn't told you. Robert's rules do not apply to an annual meeting, okay? Mr. Ridley, as moderator, did not have to recognize you for you to talk in order for you to tell us what your legal rights are. He did that and heard you out. But the way this works is there's a motion. It's been supported. As I understand it, the township board and in this format will allow comment on the motion. Many communities don't do that. It's not required, but your legal right, as you call it, will be protected because you're going to have the opportunity to tell your fellow electors, vote this down because I have a better idea. But that's the way it works. You're not able to amend a motion that's on the floor. You can disagree with me, but that's the way it is.
There is nothing that precludes Robert's rules from being followed, but what you're saying is that there is no way for me to amend the amount in the original salary resolution. That is clearly contrary to what the law says.
I asked your counsel for a cite about the law before. Debate is not proper here. That's the ruling. Okay, right? It doesn't apply. There's no cite for that.
So what you're telling me that is if this motion is voted down, the only legal recourse I have to alter the amount in the salary resolution passed by the board is to make a second motion.
Yes, I agree with that.
You do, but I don't.
Public comment on that motion, the resolution, salary resolution?
How much is it going up?
Point of discussion?
I do.
Please come down. Lauren.
Can you tell me what exactly the increase is on the salaries? The two different salaries that you're discussing right now, the assessor and the supervisor?
I don't have last year's budget number.
It was 3%.
3%? 3%?
They're both 3%? All of them across the
No,
board?
the whole figure is 3%.
So it's a 3%.
The resolution's been presented, read. We have a motion, we have support. All in favor of the salary resolution for the supervisor, assessor position, and supervisor position? Aye. Please answer with aye. Aye. Opposed? Nay. The ayes have it.
The moderator, as defined by statute, makes a determination as to whether or not the vote passed or failed.
For his own.
And if he determines that further need to look at it is necessary, he could do other things, but it's up to the moderator.
It was obvious that the ayes had it.
No.
Are you afraid of a handful?
Okay, no, we're not going to have a show of hands. We're going to have all those in favor, please stand up. All those opposed, okay, please sit down. All those opposed. The ayes have it. This is the salary resolution for the salary of the clerk, office of clerk. The salary would be $23,719, which is a 3% raise from last year. Now, am I required to read this again?
You are not. Are you representing that it's the same language?
It's the same exact language, except the position and the salary.
Correct.
$23,719. Is there a motion to support? Mr. Shervany, is there support?
Make sure I get it in this
Mr.
time.
Shervany, Mr. Burwell supports. Is there discussion? All. Thank you very much, Mr. Parliamentarian. Thanks, Stephen. All in favor of the salary for the 2016 salary resolution signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Nay. The motion carries. Okay. Office of the Treasurer, salary resolution, same language. Be it resolved that as July 1st, 2016, the salary of the Office of Treasurer shall be as follows, $27,065. Is there a motion to accept that resolution? Mr. Hatt, Stephen Hatt, is there support? Mr. Friesmuth? All those in favor of that salary?
Oh, wait, no,
I'm sorry, I apologize. Discussion. Yes, sir.
Carl Muscat. This is not a 3% raise. This is a raise from an $18,000 range to a $27,000 range.
Yep.
Because the treasurer has not been publicly disclosing their income for summer tax collection. Just want to clarify that.
May I comment on that?
Would you please comment on that, please?
To repeat, when we revised the amendment back in 2002, the township board at that time made the decision to put the summer tax collection as a separate line item. We did not know at that time, and actually there's only 2 of us here that were on the board at the time, that there was anything wrong with that. At the point when you realize you make a mistake, you correct it. It was brought to our attention this year that we were doing it wrong, so we corrected it. We cannot undo what we had been doing. This was a practice. So that was her salary. That's what she had been collecting. It was not a secret. It was on the budget every single year. It has been on there since 2002. So I just wanted to make sure that that was clear as to what happened.
Is there more discussion about the salaries for the treasurer? Okay, we'll read it one more time. The salary of the Office of Treasurer shall be as follows, $27,065. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? No. Ayes have it. This is the resolution for the Office of Trustee. We have 2 trustees. The salary resolution of the Office of Trustee shall be as follows. Each trustee shall receive $4,116 salary, each a piece. There's two trustee seats. And is there a motion to accept that? We have Mr. Dave Campbell in the back has made the motion. Is there support? Mrs. Friesmuth? Any discussion?
Where are these trustees?
Well, it's a position. It's a position because there's a vacant.
Where are they?
They're here. There's one right there. And where's the other trustee right there? Mr. Cole, this is the moderator and the clerk. They will be here. Any more discussion? Is there? We have a support, Mr. Campbell and Mrs. Friesmuth. All those in favor of the $4,116 for the position of trustee signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Ayes have it. That is our salary resolutions. We need a motion to adjourn. So moved. Shervany and Hat Purple, support. Oh, Stephen Hat. Okay, wait a minute. Just a minute. Stephen Hat. We are going to take a recess and come back with the budget hearing. Oh, all in favor of the adjournment? Aye. Opposed?